All right, we are good to go now. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tuesday, February 11th. Can't believe it's February already. It seems wild. Uh, February 11th, Working Group LTS meeting. My name is Jeremy, and I'll be the host today. Turn my camera back on. We
Hello,
have
Jeremy.
a few items on the agenda today. Don't think we have Jordan, who has most of these items, but I think we can maybe discuss. And it looks like maybe we
I was
have.
hoping I could share, but I cannot get it working because Zoom. So that's awesome.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. One sec.
Sorry about that.
I can never find the right button. There we go. Ooh, maybe I can't. Yep, I have to allow Zoom to share my screen.
It's very exciting. Turns out computers. Who knew?
Turns out permission changes when Mac OS updates are a thing.
Yeah, it
Okay, I
gave
have
me
to
lots
quit.
of angry exclamation points. You have to quit
Yeah,
and rejoin.
yes. So I made you host. I'll be right
Okay,
back, and then we can
great.
continue.
Okay. While we wait to continue, just reminding everyone that this is the Working Group LTS meeting for February 11th, 2025, which is a year that actually exists. Horrifyingly. And we are governed by the Kubernetes and CNCF Code of Conduct. So we will be excellent to one another. If you have any topics and you want to add them to the agenda, please feel free to add any topics to the agenda that you would like to discuss. And I think we'll start with a discussion about our working group LTS annual report. To you, Jeremy.
All right. Can you pass host back so I can try to share?
Yes. Yes. If I can figure out how, I definitely will.
We are definitely professional computer people.
We definitely know how to computer and do it for a living. For real.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Perfect. This is now actually sharing things. So
Woo,
we are in
amazing.
business. All right.
Yay.
So again, welcome back to the February 11th Working Group LTS meeting. We have a few items on the agenda today that looks like Jordan added. First is the Working Group LTS report, which is going to be due soon, like all annual reports. It's like we are mostly missing. So this is supposed to be done by February 28th. And
I
initial
think it's
PR should
our
be open by the
it's our
14th, right?
interactions. I think our initial PR is open, which is great. And I think the main thing
Mhm.
we're missing is our interactions with our sponsoring SIGs.
Yep.
So we do need to go to their meetings or send them a mail or message them on Slack or something.
Yeah.
We have to tell our sponsoring SIGs what we're up to, which perhaps we
Eh,
can just prep like what we think what we're up to and then just send it out to most of them, question mark.
Yeah, that sounds like the right approach. I think the probably the only real thing to communicate right now is our recent focus on the compatibility version work, um, which is listed under SIG architecture right there. Probably makes sense to share that across most of the SIGs. Um, does anybody want to volunteer to do that? We can work on a draft that we want to send out, and then once we're all happy with it, somebody can volunteer to push the buttons and send that.
Hey, it's Jordan. Sorry for joining late.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah, no worries, Jordan.
computer trouble. Anyway, I'm on my phone.
you
Us
you missed the
too.
first 10 minutes of this meeting where my work computer won't boot, and I had to get all of the credentials on this other laptop. And
You're serious. That's all.
yeah,
Computer.
yeah. So we were just discussing the working group, or so the annual report, and the
Yep.
main gap being that we need to give updates to the sponsoring SIGs. So I was just asking if anybody wanted to work on drafting a message that we could send to the various sponsoring SIGs, mostly summarizing our current focus to perhaps not look at actually doing LTS releases, but maybe to focus more on looking at compatibility versions and using that as a mechanism to improve overall upgrade experiences.
Yep.
And I'm happy to draft something today if nobody else wants to.
And I think I linked to the PR draft, but that was just the skeleton basically. So we could do it in a
Yeah.
doc or comments, or I don't really care. And the thing that I always forget is that this is supposed to be the report of what we did last year. So
Yeah.
technically,
Yeah.
it's
We could
supposed
say
to
we
be super
didn't.
low effort and like just link to all the things you did. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, right, that thing we didn't really do. So there were a couple. They weren't exactly updates, but they were like threads that we started with other SIG. So if people have those that they recall, links to those would be great. We could just drop those in.
Okay. Yeah, I can look for those.
But then we
Scheduling that
should
for
give an
like
update, so we'll
for
have a
right.
thing for this
But
year's. Yeah.
next year.
If somebody else wants to own the draft, I will definitely, if you drop a doc, a Google Doc or whatever in somewhere, I will definitely add a few links.
Okay.
I just have a lot of other things going on today, so I can't own it for sure, like right this second.
Yeah, I will hoist this into a Google Doc, or maybe like what's the Markdown editor? Something that
Canva.
we can all just like edit easily.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So the next thing on the agenda was compatibility version, emulation version work update. Want to take that one, Jordan?
Yeah. Uh, so I think the last time we had talked, our focus had been around like the node and network aspects of it. Like we were wanting to use this as a mechanism to kind of support existing behavior longer in general than the node and network aspects, so that it can be used for all the components, not just the control plane components. The focus of the folks working on the feature has been to solidify both the sort of the nitty gritty details of the control plane pieces and the dev experience. So as we started using it and sort of transitioning through from one minor to the next and one minor to the next, we just found some things that weren't apparent in the original design. So there were there was a design tweak, and then some refactors to make people actually using it in the repo make their lives better. So that's where the focus has been. I think that's actually probably a good approach. Like get it solid in one area for the control plane before we try to broaden the scope of it, and then have to make a bunch of SIGs upset because this thing that is a little bit difficult to develop with is on their radar. So for 133, that's where the focus has been. I think that is going well. And then one of the folks on our team had started looking at the node network stuff, but it was mostly just sort of exploratory at this point. Yeah, was Sue on the call? I wasn't sure if she was going to present here or if that was just a summary of what she did.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
here.
excellent.
Hi, this is Simon. So I did a brief survey of recent features graduated in Node and Network. Also presented the list in Signal meeting. So generally, the signal generally is okay with it. So the biggest impact we'll have is the feature cleanup will have to happen 3 releases after GA. So they're not against it as long as the feature cleanup is tracked somewhere in PR or cat review milestones. So as long as there's a way to remind folks to clean up after 3 releases, they're fine with adding a compatible version to Node.
Yeah, so one thing that comes to mind actually was the way that we do API versions. When you introduce an API version of a thing, like a beta, it gets decorated with the versions it was introduced and then automatically stops getting served in 6 releases, I guess. So after 3 releases, it automatically starts emitting deprecated warnings, and after 6, it automatically gets removed. If people are worried about sort of forgetting to finish a cleanup 3 releases in the future, maybe there's something similar we could look into. You know, when they get it to the point where we're basically just running out the clock, and then we want, you know, the gate and the dead branches to get cleaned up. Maybe there's something similar that you could register. You know, this should be cleaned up in this release, and when we get to that release, something will notice and make sure that that gets done. I don't know.
How do we
Like the
prevent
PR
that
stuff and the
from?
doc stuff is good, but yeah, docs, humans are busy and we don't always read our docs. So
For things that are auto removed, how do we prevent that from being an exciting, unpleasant surprise if nobody really noticed and it happened on autopilot and it's not called out in like the, change important changes in the release notes? Like exactly how do we keep that to be a good experience?
yeah, so I don't know that I don't know about auto remove. Like I think the thing we're wanting to do is actually go clean up, like delete branches of dead code. So I don't think we're gonna have a bot do that, but at the point when you graduate a feature, like that's when humans are paying attention to the feature, and that's when, you know, we say that this feature is now locked on in this minor version. The fact that if you're emulating older versions, it can still, you know, be toggled off or whatever. Like all the announcements are around the GA graduation, and so at the point when you graduate it and you lock it on, and humans are working with the feature a lot, putting it in a list of things that should get cleaned up in a minor, and then having some release blocking job that notices if there are still things left to be cleaned up in the current minor, so that a human will go do the cleanup. I don't know. This is just spitballing, but
Yeah, we can think of something, some instrumentation for compatible version. I mean, this is a feature that's generally useful, not
yeah.
just for Node.
Yep. Cool. All right. Thanks for the update. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And like Jeremy mentioned, a summary of some of the details of this would probably be a useful thing to let SIGs know about generally, and then specifically as it relates to sort of the direction and thoughts that we're having in this group. All right, I think that was all I had for that section. Were there any questions or anything else anyone else wanted to add? All right.
Cool. I don't think we have any other topics. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up today or add? I did want to mention that I won't be available next week or in 2 weeks, I guess. I don't have any transport for my kids to school, so I have to drive them. Do we want to figure out ahead of time, like earlier, if we're going to have the meeting or not, and try to arrange any topics? Or I guess maybe related, is the biweekly cadence for this still okay? Or do we think maybe a monthly would be better? Or is it fine biweekly as it is?
we should definitely figure out earlier whether we're meeting or not.
Yeah.
Let's set a goal of having an agenda or making a decision whether or not to meet, like by end of day prior.
Okay. That would be better for sure.
I just looked at February 25th, and I also have a blocker in this time slot. Sorry.
For biweekly or monthly, I don't. If it's on the calendar biweekly and we end up canceling for lack of
That's
agenda,
fine.
I think that's probably okay. It's frustrating when you have something you really want to talk about
Yeah.
and it's a month until the next meeting.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
maybe we'll keep the cadence for now and just opportunistically cancel if there's nothing anyone has.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so right
Okay.
now the next one is in 2 weeks, but since we know Jeremy and we know Bridget will not be available, the question to Jordan is, are you running one March 25th, or are you going to preemptively, or are you going to decide that like March 24th? Sorry, not
Double
March, February.
checking.
Why am I looking at March? Are you running one February
Slow
25th?
down. We're not at the end of the first quarter already.
Oh my goodness. Are you
Yeah,
running
it's
one
getting there
February
though.
25th? Or are you going to
I'm
decide
around the
February 24th?
25th, so
Okay,
we'll decide the 24th.
Okay.
great.
I just made a
Awesome.
calendar reminder for myself to review, and if we don't have anything by end of day Mountain Time, I'll cancel for the next day.
Sounds good. For other random topics, this isn't really like this team or this group's responsibility, but it's relevant. Some of the Go minor updates we're struggling with a little bit across release branches. So I know that's been one of the main things we've talked about, being a older release maintenance task, and getting Go 123 back to older release branches has been a little tricky. Those have kind of stalled and hit bumps. And there's nothing really wrong with the Go versions themselves. It's more just the mechanics of how we update our release branches. And it's, you have to update this job and this
Yeah.
CI tool and this thing, which bumps this version. And it's, anyway. So just as a data point for like, imagine us having to do that 3 more
Do this
miners
across more.
back. I'm kind of glad we're not having to take Go 123 3 more miners back.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to get the bumps done right now before we do the patch releases, and
I know.
it's not speedy.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of get, like, if it's silent, you assume everything is easy and going well, and like usually it's pretty easy, but this one for whatever reason is just kind of icky. Anyway.
Good to put that in the notes, just for other folks to see too. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a great rest of your Tuesday and or Wednesday if it's almost Wednesday for you. And have a great week. See you later.
See ya.